The history of slavery in the United States is often told in black and white. It's a story of white slave owners and enslaved African Americans. But history is rarely so simple. The story of Antoine Dubuclet Jr. proves this. Dubuclet was a wealthy black man who owned slaves in Louisiana before the Civil War. His life challenges our understanding of race, class, and power in the American South. Dubuclet's story is a hidden facet of American history. It is a story full of contradictions, wealth, and survival. It is one of the most intriguing stories of the 19th century, yet it is rarely told. This video explores Dubuclet's rise to wealth. It examines his status as a black slave owner, and it delves into the culture of the time. We'll look at the politics and social dynamics that allowed such a thing to exist. How could a black man own slaves when racial oppression was at its peak? Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. It compels us to examine the complexities of our shared history. Let's uncover the untold story of Antoine Dubuclet Jr. He was the wealthiest black slave owner in American history. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. was born in 1810. He was born in Louisiana to a free Creole family. His father was Antoine Dubuclet Sr. Antoine Sr. was a wealthy man. He owned property and slaves. This was very rare for a black man at the time. The Dubuclets belonged to a unique social class. They were known as gens de couleur libre. This translates to free people of color. This group was mostly mixed race. They occupied a space between the white aristocracy and the enslaved black population in Louisiana. Dubuclet Sr. gave young Antoine a foundation for success. He provided him with wealth and education. Antoine Jr. also received an education in plantation management. The gens de couleur libre were a diverse group. They were descendants of African slaves. They also had European and Native American ancestry. They were often the children of French or Spanish colonists and enslaved African women. Their mixed-race heritage gave them some advantages. They had legal status as free people. This allowed them a degree of social mobility. It set them apart from the majority of African Americans. They could own land and work as craftsmen. In rare cases, they could even own slaves. But they still faced discrimination and legal restrictions. This was especially true after the Louisiana Purchase. American laws began to reshape the racial dynamics of the region. Despite these challenges, the gens de couleur libres carved out a place for themselves in society. They were a testament to the complexities of race and class in the antebellum South. By the time Antoine Jr. inherited his family's estate, he was a skilled operator. He knew how to navigate the complex racial and economic terrain of the American South. He understood the system, and he was prepared to use it to his advantage. This made him both a product of his time and a challenge to it. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s early life was shaped by privilege and contradiction. He was born into a world that both acknowledged and limited his freedom. His family's wealth provided him with opportunities, but his race subjected him to prejudice and legal barriers. This duality would define his life and legacy. In 1836, Antoine Dubuclet Jr. married Claire Pollard. She was a wealthy free woman of color. This marriage boosted his social standing. It also significantly increased his financial resources. The Dubuclet family owned a large amount of land in Iberville Parish, Louisiana. This land included the Cedar Grove plantation. It was one of the largest sugar plantations in the parish. Sugar was a lucrative crop in the antebellum South. It was a labor-intensive industry, and it relied heavily on enslaved labor. Dubuclet was a shrewd businessman. He quickly expanded his sugar operations. By the 1850s, Dubuclet's estate was flourishing. He had amassed a considerable fortune. His estimated net worth was $264,000. This was an enormous sum at the time. It dwarfed the wealth of most white planters. Dubuclet's wealth came at a significant human cost. By 1860, he owned over 100 slaves. This made him one of the largest slaveholders in Louisiana. It didn't matter if a planter was black or white. Dubuclet's success challenged common narratives about slavery. It showed that the institution was about more than race. it was also about economic class and survival. This was especially true in the deeply hierarchical society of the antebellum South. Despite his wealth, Dubuclet couldn't escape the realities of his race. He was still a black man living in a society built on white supremacy. The social and legal framework of the South placed limits on what he could achieve. This was true no matter how wealthy or influential he became. Dubuclet, like other affluent Creoles of color, had to navigate these complex dynamics. He had to balance his desire for wealth and security with the realities of racial discrimination. His ownership of slaves made him a controversial figure. This was especially true within the black community. Some saw him as a traitor to his race. Others argued that he was simply a product of his time. They said he was doing what he had to do to survive. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s story forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Some black people owned slaves in antebellum America. It's a fact that challenges our modern sensibilities. How could a black man participate in the very system that oppressed his people? To understand this, we need to look deeper. We need to examine the nuances of black slaveholding in that era. Black slave ownership was rare, but it was not unheard of in the South. There were two main categories of black slave owners. Some owned slaves for personal or protective reasons. Others, like Dubuclet, owned large plantations that depended on slave labor. This was an economic necessity in the world of antebellum agriculture. Many free black individuals purchased enslaved family members. They wanted to protect their loved ones from the horrors of white ownership. These slaves often experienced more humane treatment. They even had a chance of being freed. But some black slave owners operated just like their white counterparts. They engaged in exploitation. They profited from the forced labor of others. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. fell into this category. He amassed his wealth through the brutal system of sugar production. The slaves on his plantation endured grueling labor. They suffered from inadequate nutrition and cruel punishments. Their plight was a stark reminder of the dehumanizing nature of slavery. It didn't matter what race the owner was. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s life was a study in contradictions. He was a black man who achieved great wealth and power, but he did this in a society that denied basic rights to people of his race. As a slave owner, he participated in a system that oppressed black people. Yet his own experiences as a black man in the South must have given him a unique perspective. Did he see the hypocrisy of his position? Did he feel any empathy for the people he enslaved? These are questions that historians continue to debate. Dubuclet's story forces us to grapple with the complexities of identity, morality, and power in a time of profound injustice. It's easy to judge Antoine Dubuclet Jr. from our modern perspective. We know the horrors of slavery. We understand the lasting legacy of racial injustice in America. But judging historical figures requires nuance. It demands that we try to understand the context of their time. Dubuclet's story is a reminder that history is rarely simple. It's full of gray areas. It's filled with individuals who challenged our expectations. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. was a black man who owned slaves. He was also a man who navigated a deeply flawed system. He did this to amass wealth and influence. His story serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of the past, and it highlights the enduring power of social and economic systems. The Civil War ended in 1865. It brought an end to slavery and marked a turning point in American history. The country entered a period known as Reconstruction. During this time, the South began to rebuild, and formerly enslaved people sought to claim their rightful place as citizens. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. emerged from the war with his wealth intact. This was a rarity. He was in a unique position to influence the course of Reconstruction. He was a black man who had achieved success in a system that had oppressed his people. This made him both an asset and a target in the volatile politics of Reconstruction-era Louisiana. In 1868, Dubuclet's life took another unexpected turn. He was appointed State Treasurer of Louisiana. This was a remarkable achievement. He was one of the few African Americans to hold such a high office during Reconstruction. Dubuclet's appointment was a testament to his business acumen. It was also a sign of the changing political landscape in the South. Black men had the right to vote, and they were beginning to exercise their political power. Dubuclet's appointment was a victory for those who believed in a more just and equitable South. As state treasurer, Dubuclet faced immense challenges. Louisiana was struggling to recover from the war. Its economy was in ruins, and racial tensions were running high. Dubuclet was tasked with restoring financial stability to the state. He worked closely with Republican leaders, and he was known for his financial knowledge. He was also dedicated to rebuilding Louisiana's economy, but his past as a slave owner cast a long shadow. Many people, both black and white, questioned his loyalty. They wondered if he could truly represent the interests of all Louisianans. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s tenure as state treasurer was marked by both successes and controversies. He made significant contributions to stabilizing Louisiana's finances, but his past as a slave owner continued to haunt him. His story highlights the complexities of Reconstruction. It was a time of great hope and progress, but it was also a time of deep division and resentment. Dubuclet's life serves as a reminder that even in times of great change, the past is never far behind us, and it can continue to shape the present in profound ways. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. His life was a tapestry woven from threads of ambition, resilience, and compromise. Born into a world sharply divided along lines of race and class, he navigated the treacherous waters of antebellum Louisiana with a shrewdness that belied his marginalized status. He amassed a fortune, owning vast tracts of land and over 100 souls, a feat that placed him among the wealthiest men of his time, black or white. Yet, the very foundation of his wealth rested upon the backs of enslaved Africans, a stark contradiction to his own heritage as a man of color living in a society built on white supremacy. This paradox forms the crux of his legacy, a legacy that continues to spark debate and defy easy categorization, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truths of our nation's past. Was he a ruthless opportunist, exploiting his own people for personal gain? Or was he a pragmatist, playing the hand he was dealt in a system rigged against him, a system where survival often demanded unthinkable choices? These questions linger, casting a long shadow over his accomplishments. Dubuclet's story compels us to move beyond simplistic judgments and delve into the messy realities of the past. It urges us to grapple with the fact that history is rarely black and white, but rather a tapestry of grays, woven with threads of resilience, ambition, and moral compromise. Dubuclet's life story serves as a stark reminder that the narrative of slavery is not a simple binary of good versus evil, of white oppressors and black victims. It was a complex system fueled by economic greed, political expediency, and deeply ingrained racial prejudice. A system that ensnared individuals of all backgrounds, even those who were themselves subjected to its cruelty. While some might argue that Dubuclet's entrepreneurial spirit and financial acumen deserve recognition, others will forever see him as a symbol of black complicity in a system that dehumanized and exploited an entire race. The discomfort we feel when confronted with his story is a testament to the enduring power of this legacy, a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of race, class, and power in America. Dubuclet's story challenges us to examine the nuances of history, to resist the urge to sanitize the past, or to cast its actors as one-dimensional heroes or villains. It compels us to confront the uncomfortable truth that even those who fought for freedom and equality sometimes did so while perpetuating the very systems of oppression they sought to dismantle. In the end, Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s legacy remains a source of both pride and pain, a testament to the enduring power of the American dream and the enduring legacy of America's original sin. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s political career, like his life, was marked by a unique set of circumstances and contradictions. As Reconstruction faltered and the promise of racial equality faded under the weight of Southern resistance and Northern apathy, Dubuclet found himself increasingly isolated, his position as a black man of wealth and power becoming increasingly precarious. Despite his efforts to rebuild Louisiana's economy and navigate the treacherous currents of post-war politics, Dubuclet's legacy was forever tarnished by his past as a slave owner. His story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in times of profound social upheaval, the sins of the past can cast a long shadow, shaping the present and influencing the future in ways both subtle and profound. As the 19th century drew to a close, the world that Antoine Dubuclet Jr. inhabited, a world of vast plantations, enslaved labor, and the precarious social standing of free people of color, faded into memory. The rise of Jim Crow and the systematic disenfranchisement of African Americans in the South served as a stark reminder of the fragility of Reconstruction's promise and the enduring legacy of racial injustice in America. Dubuclet's story, though largely forgotten, remains a crucial thread in the intricate tapestry of American history, a testament to the complexities of race, class, and power in a nation forever grappling with its past. In the annals of American history, Antoine Dubuclet Jr. occupies a unique and unsettling space. He was a black man who achieved extraordinary wealth and influence in a society that systematically denied opportunities to people of his race. His story challenges us to confront the contradictions of our past, to acknowledge the complexities of individual agency within systems of oppression, and to recognize that the pursuit of the American dream has often come at a great human cost. While we grapple with the legacy of slavery and its enduring impact on American society, Dubuclet's story serves as a reminder that the past is never truly behind us. It shapes our present, influences our perceptions, and informs our understanding of the ongoing struggle for racial justice and equality. As we strive to create a more just and equitable society, we must engage with the full spectrum of our history, acknowledging both the triumphs and the transgressions, the complexities and the contradictions. Only then can we truly understand the forces that have shaped our present and chart a course towards a future where the color of one's skin no longer determines their opportunities or limits their potential. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s story, though often overlooked, deserves to be remembered, not just as a footnote in the history of slavery, but as a testament to the enduring human capacity for resilience, ambition, and moral compromise in the face of extraordinary circumstances. It is a story that continues to resonate, challenging us to confront the complexities of our past and to work towards a future where such contradictions no longer exist. Antoine Dubuclet Jr. says life was a paradox, a jarring juxtaposition of ambition and oppression, of triumph and tragedy. He rose to become the wealthiest black man of his time, a testament to his business acumen and unwavering determination. Yet, the source of his wealth, the sprawling sugar plantations and the enslaved souls who toiled upon them, cast a long shadow over his accomplishments, a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the antebellum South. His story challenges us to confront the uncomfortable truths of our history, urging us to move beyond simplistic narratives of good versus evil, of oppressor versus oppressed. Dubuclet's life defies such easy categorization. He was a man who both benefited from and was constrained by a system built on racial hierarchy and exploitation, a system that forced him to make impossible choices in the name of survival and success. As we examine Dubuclet's legacy, we are forced to confront the complexities of power, race, and morality in a society grappling with the sins of its past. Was he a product of his time, a man forced to conform to the brutal realities of his era? Or was he an active participant in a system that dehumanized and exploited his own people for personal gain? These questions linger, defying easy answers, prompting us to delve deeper into the nuances of history and to acknowledge the full spectrum of human experience, even in its most uncomfortable forms. Dubuclet's story serves as a stark reminder that the past is never truly behind us. It shapes our present, informs our understanding of the world, and compels us to confront the enduring legacy of slavery and its impact on American society. Antoine Dubuclet Jr.'s story is a thread in the vast tapestry of American history, a story that speaks to the enduring power of the past to shape our present. It is a story of ambition, resilience, and the complexities of navigating a society built on racial inequality. While his story may be uncomfortable for some, it is a necessary reminder that history is rarely simple or straightforward. It is a messy, complicated, and often contradictory narrative that demands our attention and compels us to confront the full spectrum of human experience. As we strive to create a more just and equitable society, we must engage with the full breadth of our history, acknowledging both its triumphs and its transgressions. We must learn from the stories of individuals like Antoine Dubuclet Jr., stories that challenge our assumptions, complicate our understanding of the past, and force us to confront the enduring legacy of slavery and its impact on American society. By remembering and learning from these stories, we honor the struggles and triumphs of those who came before us, and we equip ourselves to build a future where such injustices are relegated to the history books. A future where every individual, regardless of the color of their skin, has the opportunity to achieve their full potential and to live a life free from oppression and inequality. The story of Antoine Dubuclet Jr., though rooted in the antebellum South, transcends time and place, offering valuable lessons for us today. It reminds us that the pursuit of justice and equality is an ongoing journey, a journey that demands our attention, our empathy, and our unwavering commitment to creating a world where the color of one's skin no longer determines their destiny.